Hey, I'm Lex.
And I'm Gibby, and welcome to another episode of Porch Wing People. Hey, Lex,
Yeah.
before I introduce our guest, which he is awesome, hey, tell me something about a go-to recipe that you enjoy and love.
A go-to recipe that I enjoy and love. Did you know I make a really good French toast?
Of course I do.
The bread that you use, can make or break the whole thing. So we like to get some fancy like French bread.
Oh, right on.
Of course, if you're gonna really go all out, you need to make sure you have a good selection of berries, which we always do because we have young kids. And then you finish it off with a little bit of local syrup. It's delish. But what about you?
I have a go-to recipe for potlucks at work.
All right, let's hear it.
I live somewhat of a non-traditional lifestyle in RV. One of the dishes that it's easy for me to make, but everybody eats it. I get 8 frozen burritos of different kinds. Then I get 3 or 4 cans of chili verde, some chilies, and some diced jalapenos. I put it all in a pan and I cook that up in the oven at 350 for a bit until I know it's warm, and then I put a layer of cheese on it and then I crank it up to broil, and it makes that brown cheese glaze on top. But it always gets eaten up at all of our luncheons.
Wow, it must be a hit. Okay, here's a question. What from your work luncheons or potlucks do you always make sure to get some of?
My boss, everything that he brings is something superb. He brought in these things that looked like I thought they were pastries. And he goes, well, those are cheeseburger muffins. So I took a bite and it was so good. I was like,
Wow.
yeah, of
I
course
don't
it's
eat cheeseburgers, but I imagine that tastes really good.
It tasted phenomenal.
You know what? We just started this podcast and I'm already hungry, and I know this is a question we're going to ask our guest today, so this is not very good. Tell us a little about our guest.
Our next guest that we're going to share with all of you listeners is Matt. He is a gentleman that I've worked with 8-9 years ago. We were a small team, and it was just one of those magical teams where we all just got along. The dude is super brilliant. He's still active military.
Well, I'm super excited, and I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to share with us.
Let's bring Matt on.
All right.
Hey guys, how are you?
Matt.
Good to see you.
Wonderful
How are
to see
ya?
you.
I'm good. You know, the days now, my kids just got I got out of school for the summer, and so now we're trying
Yay.
to figure out. You know, before they had a very regimented schedule. Now it's just chaos.
Chaos.
It's-
I
It's
know. What
chaos.
happens now? That's a good question.
I don't know exactly what to. You know, there were other people that helped me with you. Now I'm having to kind of take it on with.
On a smaller scale with my little ones, it's fun to figure out like how we adjust our daily routines.
No, it's absolutely one of those things, adjusting the daily routine and trying to account for, doing things because there was things that I did as a dad, to get them
Yeah.
ready to go to different things. And so now we're in a bit of a churn, but I'll be honest with both of you and I know Gibby, in talking to him before, can attest to this, the whole life is a churn sometimes.
Yep.
It's you want it to be the same every day, but oh my goodness, it certainly isn't. So.
I've definitely learned that in early parenthood. Everything changes by the week, it seems like.
Yeah, and it just and so we'd love to have a lull, but it just never happens.
But let's take a step back and why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
So I am a proud husband of 15 years. We celebrate our 15th year of marriage here in about a month.
Congratulations.
And father of 3. And I have been an active duty Army officer for 24 years. So I've
Nice.
been doing that for quite a while, and that is actually how I met Gibby, and then obviously have the privilege of meeting you, Lex. So
Yeah.
super excited to have a conversation here with you, and get after hanging out on the porch, I guess is the
That's
appropriate
what
term
we're
as it
doing.
relates
Yeah.
to the podcast.
You went all
Matt
the way.
understands the assignment.
Very nice. Well, thank
Well,
you
thanks-
so much.
Yeah, thank you for your time. We're really excited.
Absolutely, no, this is fun.
Hey, Matt, there has been a common theme with all of our guests, and we love this, and it's and quite honestly, it's a surprise, but it's about food. And I don't know what it is, but you know what we do think we know what it is because food brings the family together. And anyhow, hey, share a meal or a recipe that is your go-to no fail.
So Gibby is familiar with this one. I think Gibby's had this recipe once. And so when Gibby and I work together, and in fact now to this day, every time I go out anywhere, I will order macaroni and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
And the only reason I order it, there's only one reason. It is to measure it against the mac and cheese.
Yep.
And there's only
Oh.
one macaroni and cheese that is the standard of all, and that's my wife's macaroni and cheese. I can get the brownie points for saying that too on the podcast.
I have the same thing. It's my grandmother's mac and cheese, but please
It
continue.
is her macaroni and cheese was just so it was wonderful, and so it's something that takes me back to here at home. It is something that I think about a lot in terms of just being able to think about the family and enjoy that, and even when I'm out and about with work or wherever life takes me, it always reminds me of just kind of something that brings me and grounds me, and something that if I can convince her to make it, is always nice when I get back home to have a healthy serving of macaroni and cheese. So.
Oh, I love that answer.
I've had your wife's mac and cheese more than once, and it is extremely good.
Well, what
Yeah.
makes it different from other?
It's the way that I don't know if she puts a little bit of love in there or what it might be.
It's the
But
topping. I love the
she
topping.
she puts it is an egg noodle base, and she uses just sometimes it's the cheese we can find in the fridge. Sometimes there's special cheeses that she'll get, but I don't know what it is. It's a baked macaroni and cheese, and there's something about it, and it tastes authentic every single time. And so, in fact, when one of our friends, I think he was a podcast guest when he retired, that was one of my gifts to him, was the recipe for the mac and cheese.
Oh,
And I
that's a
gave it-
good gift.
I gave it to him in a locked box because he couldn't let it get out because we can't have that out on the street. So.
Oh, that's
But yeah,
so funny.
that's something that helped. It's just something that is such a big thing, and it's been an ongoing thing. And then it's also it's what brought us all together. It was something that I know that when I worked with Gibby and I worked with the guys there, they knew that if we were at a restaurant and that was on the menu, that's what I was ordering. They could pick it out. And then they would give me a little bit of guff about it because that's just what you do with the folks you work with. But we had such a great relationship, and that's what kind of brought us together. And then I think it's something I've kind of taken on here in the house as a dad. Cooking and feeding the family and everything else is really important. I like to have everybody sit down to dinner. It's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's hard, as we said before, just trying to figure out the schedules. But everybody sitting down and having a meal together is important. It's something I did as a kid. It's something that just always was.
It's
So I
something
think it's
very
what we're supposed
intentional.
to do.
You have
Yeah.
to be intentional to do it as a family. Hey, let's expand on that a little bit more. Tell us about a meal that was so good that you still think about it, other than your mac and cheese.
Well, there's another meal that my wife makes. I swear, it is Andrea's cooking gets me. She makes a meatloaf, and I know that sounds weird. That's a very classic meal, a very classic food. But literally, she takes and takes the meatloaf and stuffs it with mozzarella cheese, and it's a big meat
Nice.
cheese concoction.
Wow.
And we had it once. I think Gibby's had it once. She made it. We would do when Gibby and I worked together. We would do a Christmas party, and that Christmas party was everybody would come over to our house, and we would just cook. I mean, everybody brought like ridiculous amount. There was only like 8 of us, and we would just bring ridiculous amounts of food. I think I made a whole
love
turkey
that.
one year just to make it. And
Chips.
yeah. Gibby didn't do a lot of the cooking. I think someone else brought and made most of the food.
Most of
But
it, yeah.
but that was a meal I remember because not only was it that meatloaf, but it was the fact that we were all together, and it was that team of people and that group of folks, and I that was a thing that we shared before I left that job. Was we there was a picture deliberately that we took, and everybody has a copy of that picture. It sits in one of my desks somewhere. As a memory of the group, and I think it was what we everybody just coming together, breaking a little bread, enjoying the holiday, and having a little bit of fun.
Lex, it was an incredible team. A very diverse group of us, really from different walks of the military. I was a civilian then, but all of us together, we just gelled, and it was fun, it was easy, and it's memorable.
Yeah. You know what's so interesting is how you can use your different senses to apply to your memories, and then it just takes you right back. I think that that is one of the best parts about food as a means of bringing people together, and is something that we experience across all groups of people across the globe. And that, I think, might be why our guests choose this question. And it's fun to talk about food, but not at lunchtime. I'm getting a little hungry.
Yeah, you're at lunchtime there in the in where you're at, but
Yeah.
little different here. So
So, other than the tradition of, mac and cheese when you have group functions and the meatloaf, what are some traditions that you have in your family that are meaningful to you, or is there a tradition that you are interested in starting?
So for us, usually traditions kind of surround the holidays. One of the things my family always did, it's great right now because of the age of I have younger kids, so they still get into, the big, huge amount of gifts at the tree and the number of things that we're able to kind of provide for them. But one of the things is they always get to pick a gift from Dad, specifically from me,
Nice.
on Christmas Eve, and they get to pick it. It was something my dad did for us. Eventually, it got to the point where my dad was picking because he knew exactly which one he wanted to give us that evening. You know,
That's
um,
funny.
and so he did it deliberately the way that he did it because when we were kids, sometimes I would pick something and it would be this huge Lego set that I was excited about, right? My brother would pick something, it'd be like a pair of socks, and then he'd be like all mad. But
Yeah.
so he had to kind of gauge that and make sure that we were in the same boat. Um,
Proportionally excited about it, yeah.
yeah, proportionally, because then of course for that evening, then my brother was a little disappointed. We'll say it that way. Um, but in all honesty, one of the things that I think we've something that we do as a group, and I think that it's something I learned over periods of time. It's really all about the relationships that you have with people, and it's attempting to maintain those relationships in a better way. And I am reticent, I don't do it as well as I should. And I think it's something I need to get a little more deliberate about, just making time and saying, hey, I want to talk to, I want to give this guy a call or give these people a call. We talk to our immediate families on a regular basis, but it's really that connection with folks that you worked with in the past. We did a good job. I know that at least from a family perspective, we did a pretty good job during COVID. We would do a Friday night Zoom call with everybody.
Oh, right
But
on.
I think get a little more deliberate about that and making sure that we're just keeping up with each other. I think it keeps us in a better place, kind of like this in allowing us to have a conversation about life, getting things out there, identifying with other people that you might not talk to on a regular basis. But I think that's a tradition I want to get a little more deliberate about keeping that connectivity with people because we have so many means to do it now. We're
Yeah.
talking in three different, very different places, but we like to make
Yeah.
those excuses and saying I'm too busy, but I gotta not be too busy. We'll say it that way.
Well, hey Matt, how long has it been since we worked with each other?
Oh my goodness, it's been about what? It's almost 8 years. I think is
Eight or
when
nine
we
years.
last time
And
we chatted.
so
Or-
we're not as good as probably we could be, but we still have a chat string with our crew. And so, the certain days, the big days, somebody starts it off, Merry Christmas or Happy New Year. And that's that friend group. And I cherish that still.
It's great, and it's one of those things, and it's a classic kind of military connection whereby I think I came out to where Gibby was working just a few years ago, and we linked up, and it was like we had seen each other the day before. We called
I'm
each
going to
other
tell a
last
story.
week.
I'm going to tell a
Oh
story when he
God.
came out. So Matt is well read, well educated, and super intelligent. And he comes to visit me at our installation. We were driving along out in the middle of the desert, and there's this one building out there, and it's an odd building. It's a three-step tiered structure. I asked dozens and dozens of people, hey, do you know what that building's for? And everybody's looking at it like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. So we're driving along, and I'm like, "Hey, Matt, bet you can't tell me what that building right there's for." He didn't even hesitate. He goes, "Oh, that's a satellite calibration building." I was like, "What? How do you know that?"
And
You
he's the
just,
only person who's answered that
oh,
question.
and I mean, bam, just like that. And then I was like, "How do you know that?" And he goes, "Oh, my dad was in charge of the satellites." And I was like, "Oh, okay,
Wow.
very
Yeah,
That's pretty
cool."
so
cool.
so yeah, my dad told me actually, and Gibby, full disclosure, he had told me that like I had told him we're out at, and he said, "Oh yeah, we have calibration things out there. This is what they look like." And so I swear, and I'm not making this up at all. Dad told me that's so they pick large open areas, which so has a number of large open areas, so the satellite can clearly see this. It looks like a set of stairs,
Uh-huh.
and what it
Yeah.
is the satellite, because you want the imagery that the satellite provides to be so accurate, it has to gauge its accuracy against something on the ground, and that's what it uses. So
Oh.
every
Wow.
time that my dad's satellites would go around the Earth, they would find Utah and it would calibrate against this thing. So,
That's amazing.
yeah,
And probably more than once, Gibby was driving by pointing it out to someone saying, "Do you know what that is?"
yeah, exactly.
Yep. I was like a little kid going, "My dad knows everything. Matt knows everything."
No, not at all. No, it was
Well,
fun.
Matt, going back to the tradition you want to start of the more meaningful reaching out to people. I definitely have friends that we seem to get together for, a meal once a year, and then it's just a great time. And like you said, it's like we just chatted yesterday, even though it's been a while, and we leave and we're like, let's make sure this isn't another year before, but then it is. And I mean,
Yeah.
that happens. It's hard to find the frequency that we might want. But like you were saying, during COVID, I think a lot of us have stories where we set up weekly Zoom calls or, regular chats or book clubs or any type of activity that we put together online with other people. That time period is such an interestingly, unintentionally positive time period
Yeah.
with connecting with people. I hope that we can all have takeaways like yours where we think about what we did during that time that really fueled our connections with others and how we can apply that moving forward, even though we aren't, in a lockdown right now. We're just living our lives.
No, and I think that that's a great point, and I think that it's something that as many things that were difficult about that time, there was a lot of things that you kind of look at the silver lining of it and what it caused us to do. It caused us to connect and use. We commented on it earlier in the discussion. We used the means we had to communicate because those were the only ways we could do it. We couldn't just go and meet each other. We couldn't just do these things, and so we had to use and luckily we had those things, the Zoom and the FaceTime and the various other things that are out there. So those became huge, and I think you know we we like to use that stuff now, and it's good. I find nothing necessarily wrong with that. Like I said, I mean, we're doing this in three different very different areas of the United States at
Yeah.
this point, so it's fun.
So tell us about a connection with someone that you have right now that has been really important to you these days.
So I'm a father of three beautiful children, and wonderful to be a dad. I think it's one of the funnest, most exhausting things you can do, and in that sense, you learn things about yourself and you learn things about your kids, and then you have this idea that your kids are gonna be able to learn and be able to understand things the same way that you did, in an educational setting or whatever it is. So my son, Luke, is neurodivergent. He has ADHD, and he's on the autism spectrum. And so I am, while it can be difficult at times, learning how he learns is something amazing to watch. And I think it's something that's been really interesting to see. You know, what's captivating with him is that he learns things and he can learn them really quickly, or he can learn them, he just doesn't learn them the same. The other thing that's really neat about him, Luke can read people extremely well. And if he doesn't like you, there is no question whatsoever. He will just not pay attention to you. He will go and he will just do his own thing, and you are now, not in his circle and never will
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
But that's who he is, and I think that it's important that we kind of learn and understand that. And so I'm taking some time. I know I'm going to take some time this summer to learn more about him, learn more about kind of how he learns and things like that. He had a great year of school this past year. Was mainstreamed. Was in a private school with the other two
That's
kids.
awesome.
Did really really well, and he is a resilient kid. He has to work really hard academically. Um, the interesting thing is as we learn about him, there is one person here in our house and that knows and can. We call her our Luke translator.
Yeah.
It's actually my Lexi. My daughter is also Lexi.
Yeah.
She is our Luke translator, so she can kind of help us to understand. Especially he had some speech issues when he was younger, but we had the only person in the house that knew what he said was his sister, and it's cool to watch kind of as that develops. Growing in that is going to be important and something I'm going to focus on over this summer, just to see where it takes us.
You got him in mainstream. You obviously had to do some huge advocacy for your son. And we had to do the same thing for our daughter because they can easily get forgotten about. And you obviously did not allow that to happen.
Well, I won't. I'll take maybe like 3% of the credit for that. But there is my wife, Luke's mom, is a bull in a china shop when it comes to making sure that he's okay, that
Hmm.
he's advocated for, and we've had many a conversation with many a therapist and a doctor and a teacher and everything else, and so he's flourished with her pushing him forward, making sure that he's getting the right things out there, and that's been really, really, really fun to see. And it's really going to be really awesome to see here in the future, like kind of as he develops and flourishes. And we always put it this way, he's going to be the best Luke he can be. And what that is we don't know.
You
Um,
can't ask anything more.
and I really believe that some of that, we call it divergence. Everybody has their own little way, but we don't know if it's could be a superpower, it could be an evolutionary change that we haven't just caught up yet. But all those things are out there, so that's a relationship that I'm really focused on. I know parent-child relationships are all different in different ways, but that one's one that's really really special. And Luke, I'm an early riser. I just am. It's part of my profession, part of what I've always been. And then Luke's also an early riser, so we get about 45 minutes in the morning where it's just he and I, and we're just doing our own thing and interacting with one another and enjoying some time. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Exhausting, like I
Sweet.
said, but
I
fun.
love that you shared this, and I love that you shared that your daughter is Luke's translator. That's pretty funny because that resonates, and I can relate to that. Growing up as a sister to somebody with special needs, of course, I guess I was raised to be very confident, so I had this great sense that I just had an understanding of people with differences. And then when I went into school to be a special education teacher as an undergrad, I heard the phrase, if you've met one person on the autism spectrum, then you've met one person on the autism spectrum. And
Yeah.
that was humbling to me to realize that everybody out there, no matter what your identity is or what makes you unique or special from other people, there are all things that connect us together, and there are all things that make us our own individual people. Like you were saying, sometimes we might think that we all learn or see things as the same way as other people do. And it's really humbling and really interesting when you learn how vastly different we all do see the world around us. I'm excited for you and this summer and where that takes you with your kids, and particularly Luke and what you have to learn from him. That sounds like a really fun time.
It will be. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be good.
Going off of that, I want to hear about something specific that you have learned from another person who maybe had a completely different background than you do.
So, when I was a young, much younger in my Army career, very early, I was actually here, where I am now, because I've been I've been at this installation many many times, and a gentleman who I worked with needed a little bit of help, and so he called me. He said, "Hey, I need a place to stay for a couple days. Something's going on." And I said, "Sure." I mean, I was a single officer, and that was fine. Well, understanding who this gentleman was. His name is Ron, and Ron is an African American man, and so it was a very, we'll just say, naive young white guy from Montana, and this very relatively large sized African American man staying together. And we'd go to the supermarket. It was always funny. People kind of give you weird looks, like, who are those two? How are they roommates? But he taught me, number one, he taught me that, for as many differences as we have, everyone's generally the same. We all want the same thing. We all want to be accepted. We all want to have that personal connection with another person. We all need somebody to talk to sometimes. And I don't want to get too deep into it, but, Ron taught me about cooking. So before I would cook, I would go and buy like huge packages of chicken breasts because I thought that was the only piece of the chicken they eat. That was just his. No, Ron would go buy chicken thighs, and I'm like, chicken thighs? Who eats chicken? I didn't even know chicken had thighs, much less you would eat them. But I'll tell you, they were amazing. And he showed me how to make it. And he showed me how to do it. He said, "Look, this is good thing." And so, and he said this was something that we talked earlier about food. This was something that my mom would make for me, and this is what brought me back home. And so it taught me a little bit about, kind of opening your aperture to different people, different cultures, because that was a cultural thing as it related to it. He taught me he taught me a lot about, and this is going to sound a little odd. He taught me about black people's hair. I had no idea that
I don't think that's odd at all. Yeah.
The way they take care of themselves and the way that he had to take care of his hair was way different than the way I do it. And it was really neat. It was neat to learn, and it was neat to understand. It was really cool to learn those specific things about, eating chicken thighs and doing African American hair were massive for me.
Yeah, probably not something that you would have gleaned from growing up in Montana.
Nothing. Yeah, no, it certainly wasn't. It was and so it was really cool to have that. And I think it's always, obviously, it stayed with me this long. That was years and years ago. I still talk to Ron on not as much as I'd like. I need to make that connection again. But yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome that you embraced the difference right there. And
Yeah.
you took the best of it. That's cool.
I really appreciate you being brave enough to share that here on the podcast, because a lot of people shy away from talking about cultural differences or admitting that we were in a place where we didn't know something, but then we were open-minded and we did learn something. And how we as a society can grow to a more understanding and beautiful, diverse place is by seeing the value in all of these differences, as well as seeing the things that brings us together across all of our differences.
And be honest with you, I think that's something that's been unique about the profession that I chose for my life's work. Being in the Army for this long, you just get a whole diverse background from everywhere across the globe, and understanding and really getting to see that everybody has common things that they go and do and want, and that working together is kind of somewhat. It doesn't matter where you come from as long as you're working towards a common goal. Sometimes, and it's hard for us Army guys. Sometimes we have to work with Navy guys, and it's it's a tough one out there.
You get to work.
We get to work with Navy guys.
You get to work with Navy guys.
But yeah, there's for as much as we chide each other, and for as much as we kind of give each other grief, there's a lot of that understanding that diversity, and everybody's just working towards kind of a common goal, and it's awesome to see. It's awesome to do. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Hey, before we let you go, we have one more question for you. Tell us about a gift that you received that meant a lot to you.
So I didn't bring it up here. I was going to. It's here in the house, and someone who here is hosting the podcast is very familiar with this.
No,
And so
I know what
whenever you depart organizations, generally the people will give you a gift. They'll say, "Hey, here's a memento from the organization." And sometimes, you can tell if someone had an impact, or someone was part of the team, or someone was, by how personal that gift is. So as you can see, I know this is an audio-only podcast, but you can see a couple in the background behind me. So when I left the organization where Gibby and I were working together, they gave me a wooden flag, or so I thought. It was just a wooden flag. I come to find out, it was made from 100-year-old Iowa barnwood. Gibby made it himself, and they had it on this stand when they were giving it to me. And all of a sudden, they flip it down, and it's a bar, and they had loaded it with all these different things. But
Wow.
it's down in the basement, and it literally on the little, because there's a little plaque on there. They have a quote that said the machinations of mac and cheese, because of just the weird words I would use and everything else. But
Machination.
No.
Yep.
I love that.
because I've been doing this for a long time. You get all sorts of stuff. It is the one thing, the one gift that I have gotten throughout my time that is allowed to be in my wife's dining room. So it got promoted. She bought a piece of furniture for it to sit on.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a big thing because number one, it's a U.S. flag. Number two, is made by Gibby, so I mean you can't argue with that.
Man, what an honor.
You get so many things from so many people sometimes, and it's those that are made by someone or made from the heart that really kind of hit you. And I tell the story all the time of who it came from and where it was and various other parts. But it is certainly something that I appreciate, and I think it has helped. Help me understand that getting somebody something personal, doing something for someone else, even if it's just giving them a call or keeping that connection going is just as important as anything else. So, yes, Gibby, it was the flag that you made me, brother, is really something that still holds to this day. So
No, I appreciate that. I'm honored.
That is a pretty big honor. Thanks for sharing that.
absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate all the stories that you brought and all of the intention behind everything you wanted to share with us. That means so much to us. Overall themes that I have to take away, just so much love and positivity about other people, and particularly about other people who are shining stars who have lots of different things to bring to the world, and just how important it is for people to embrace those differences and see that that's what makes humanity really special. So thank you so much for bringing that to our podcast today.
Well, I appreciate y'all having me. I've enjoyed the discussion, great laughs for this afternoon, and looking forward to staying connected with both of you guys.
Thank you, Matt, for joining us. Thanks for agreeing to be a guest on our porch.
Yeah. And we'll talk soon. Thanks, Matt.
See you,
Thank
Matt.
you.
Well, that was an awesome time.
I enjoyed talking to Matt. It's been such a long time and really an
Has it?
in-depth conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. He brought some awesome things to share. What were your takeaways from the episode?
Obviously the big one is family. Matt is a family man, a professional in a very busy, hectic life organization that he's in, and his number one priority is his family. And of course, he had mentioned about his middle son Luke and that connection that they have with each other and advocating for them. For any of you folks out there that have children with special needs or are neurodivergent, speaking from a dad that also has a child with special needs, you have to be their advocate. Matt expressed that very well with his son.
Like Matt said, you're also learning from them, and you're kind of unlearning some of the things that you might have felt were fact and looking at things through a completely different lens. And once you open that door for yourself, you can find that the world isn't nearly as settled as you might thought it was.
Yes, and that's the other thing. It's your attitude of finding out where is the silver lining in this, because it can be also very challenging.
I think about Matt's story with his roommate and him being open-minded to learning about culture that he didn't really know about, or food that he didn't really know about, and learning about black hair and how to take care of black hair. And that's not something that he had ever thought about before. When we open our minds to learning, imagine how we can appreciate the people around us in different ways.
Making bridges, and that's what our podcast is about, learning from others.
So the mac and cheese thing, obviously you seem to know that he was going to say mac and cheese in the beginning when we asked him the question about the meal. So
It
he's
was an
known for
ongoing joke.
being a mac and cheese person. It was an ongoing joke.
But not just ongoing joke. I mean, the other thing, and he mentioned it, machination. Somehow he could fit that word into a paragraph or a sentence. And I'm like, well, machination of macaroni and cheese.
Oh, that's amazing. And oh gosh, now I'm even hungrier. We're at the end of recording this episode and I need to go find a good mac and cheese from somewhere. When he mentioned the wine bar that you made for him, I want to hear a little bit about that. And I also wanted to point out to our listeners that in our very first picture post from our first guest, Aaron, he's holding a mug from UCSB, University of California, Santa Barbara, right? Mm-hmm. And he's holding it in front of an American flag, and that flag is one of your wine bars, right?
I had made a bar for Aaron. And,
yeah, so tell us a little bit about that. Like, what? Like, where did this come from? Where did this idea come from?
I mean, this really came about because Matt was leaving our organization, and we, like you said, traditionally we give out a gift for those who are leaving. And I mean, Matt is a special person to me. I wanted it to be something that would be memorable and useful. I mean, yeah, it's cool to have pictures and stuff. This thing, though, I put a lot of sweat and love into it for him, and he was speechless. And when he pulled it down, and there's wine glasses that are in there, a bottle of his favorite liqueur, wine bottle. It's all out of 100-year-old barn wood from Iowa that I would bring back when we take trips. I still have 2 bars I'm working on right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How many have you made?
5. Made 5.
Okay.
So.
Well, I thought it was awesome that I had no idea that in that question of the gift that was
I didn't
really
either,
memorable.
It was nice.
Yeah, that was so special. My last takeaway would be his tradition that he wants to start of connecting with his people more regularly and more frequently, and taking the time to call someone up and talk to them. I love that answer.
I do too, and in fact, it's inspired me to do the same. We need to stay connected.
Well, that was another episode of Porch Swing People. Like Matt said, he joined us on the porch. Who's going to be next? Reach out if you want to be a guest on our show.
Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us. Porch Swing People, out. Porch Swing People is recorded and produced by Lex and Gibby. Opening music was written and produced by Michael Gibson. Porch Swing People is a podcast featuring everyday people. If interested in being a guest, email us at porchswingpeeps@gmail.com.